YouTube, it's Jody. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm just going to be expanding on some of the points that I made in my previous video. So go ahead and watch that if you haven't already. I just talked about some of the pieces of advice I would give to people who are just starting out in the green industry, just getting their first jobs in the industry like I did a couple of years ago. And in this video, I want to touch more on some of those points and make a few new ones. I really wish someone had given me this advice when I started out. And looking back now, a couple of years later, most of it just seems like common sense to me, but you don't know until you know, right? So with that, let's get into it. Let me read from my notes because, I have no short-term memory. Number 1, do your research. I cannot emphasize this enough, you guys. And what I mean by do your research is research the position or positions that you applied for. Research the job, research what kind of tasks you'll be doing. And a couple of reasons for this. Firstly, it's going to help you mentally prepare, identify your strengths, your weaknesses. It's going to help you to be more direct with your boss about what you are and aren't able to do. And that's going to make it easier on both ends, trust me. And the other reason is to prepare more practically, getting together tools, equipment, clothing you might need. For example, good quality work gloves. A little pricey, but worth the investment for certain types of work. Just do your research, you guys. My first horticulture job was groundskeeping at a golf course. And I remember when I first started out just thinking I was going to be basically cutting grass and taking care of flowers, and that was it. That was all I would have to do. And that could not have been further from the truth. There were so many odd little tasks and so many things I never would have considered. And I didn't grow up golfing, so most of it was just very, very new to me, and it was difficult to absorb. So just do your research, make it a little bit easier on yourself. My second tip is dress in layers, especially if you're working at a golf course or some kind of similar job where you tend to start early in the morning. Yeah, summer days get hot, but guys, if you don't know, those mornings are cold. I found it was very common to shiver all morning and then sweat all afternoon. Last year when I went back to the course for my second season, towards the end of May I think it was, I would wear wool shirts, a hoodie, and a thick work jacket and still be cold. So definitely dress in layers and dress heavier than you think you'll need to. Just do what you can to make it easier on yourself, because the good days are really good and frankly the crappy days are really crappy. So yeah, just being prepared goes such a long way. My third point is be observant. What I mean by this is, I know you're brand new to your job, you're just learning, maybe you're trying to absorb a whole lot of information that you would not have ever even imagined existed, like I was my first year at the golf course. But just get to know what's normal, get to know what isn't normal. And the reason for this is it will enable you to be able to solve some of the problems on your own, or if that isn't how your place of work does things, at least bring them to your boss's attention. I don't recommend doing that unless you have a solution. I don't think I really need to say the reason for that. But just get to know what's normal, get to know what isn't normal. Point number 4, this, don't know how well you can see that. This is a difficult one, and it's one that I had, I think, the hardest time accepting. Guys, toughen up. My first year at the golf course was very, very difficult mentally, just because I went in really underprepared and just didn't know what I was getting into. I had a hard time adjusting to the hours, and I had a hard time adjusting to, I guess, to the culture of the workplace, because my job before that was dishwashing, which was very, very different in literally every way. So when I was new, I made a lot of mistakes, you know, as new employees do. And my boss would correct me, and he wasn't mean about it, but I tend to take things very personally and very to heart, so it felt really mean in the moment. And it's easier said than done, and I can't really even offer advice on how to do it. But you do need to thick skin, and you do need to learn, in whatever way it happens for you, you need to learn how to not take things personally, and just kind of how to let things just roll off your back and not let them get to you. I know it's hard, and I think the one thing I could say that's helped me is focusing on the learning and on getting better and better at my tasks, and basically just trying to push it out of my mind and make room for the better things and for all the good things that this industry has to offer. Because despite how demanding it can be, it really is a good industry. There are so many good people in it. And it can be really, really good and amazing if you let it be. Which kind of leads me into my final piece of advice. Just go with it. If you have kind of some goofball coworkers, or coworkers whose behavior you might question sometimes, or just whatever it is, you guys, just go with it. This kind of ties into what I said in my last video about being open-minded. Sorry, I'm just trying to, the words are in there, I'm trying to get them to come out, you know? Just go with whatever happens. And I don't mean let bad things happen, I more mean let every day teach you in its own way. Let each day and each new task you learn and each new experience you have at work, just try your hardest to learn something from each of them and learn your workplace dynamics. And one thing I really regret is not making more of an effort to get to know my coworkers, so I'm definitely going to make more of an effort this year at my new job. I really struggle with being open-minded. Like, as a principal, I'm naturally just a very narrow thinker. I'm not really sure why that is, but it's something I've been struggling with my whole life, and I'm really trying to work on it. Yeah, just do your best to go with whatever happens day to day. One thing that just came to my mind here that's related to that. A lot of things are gonna come up really unexpectedly, whether that's coworkers not showing up, or, you know, equipment breaking down, or whatever it is. And you won't really be able to mentally handle that if you aren't at least a little bit open-minded and at least a little bit flexible. And I think that's part of why the golf course job was so good for me, because it did really help me to be able to be more mentally flexible. Anyways, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it for today, you guys. I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.